Have you ever fallen off a very high mountain where you were this close to climbing up? Well, this always happens to me, so I get very emo because of it. This is why I decided to start the Anemo Only series, where I become one with the Anemo and attempt to play through Genshin with only one element, in hopes to one day be able to fly after mastering wind bending. There are a few rules for this series. First, I can only use Anemo characters, so story or trial characters that I get are not usable in a playthrough. When I do co-op, the people that join my world are only allowed to use Anemo characters as well. We are allowed to use test run characters to get the Primogems. I know there may be issues in the future where we are forced to use a certain character, so I'll worry about that later. I can also level up the characters I get for the standard fates and use them to pull. This account will not be free to play, so a little wailing may be in play depending on the circumstances and how desperate I am for the character. Some of you guys probably already know, but in Genshin's version 3.3 there will be 2 new Anemo characters. First being the Big Hat Emo and Hatsune Miku, so I'll be targeting both of them in the next patch. Of course, the goal is to collect all the Anemo characters and beat the Spiral Abyss with them, so I hope you enjoy the ride. Before we even begin this series, we'll have to reroll for an Anemo character, since I want to start out the series with another Anemo character besides Traveler. So I named myself Votemo because, face it, we're playing on an Anemo only account and we're very emo, so the name fits us perfectly. I chose to wish on a standard banner, and even though the beginner banner with Noelle costs less fates, your guaranteed 4-star will most likely be Noelle, so the likelihood of getting Sucrose is pretty low. Rerolling in this game takes a while, since we needed to go through the tutorials, so after a few hours of repeating the same cutscenes and praying to the gacha gods for an Anemo character from a standard wishes, we finally got an Anemo character. This is actually a very good UID, so please just give me an Anemo character. Sucrose, Sayu, Sucrose. Oh! Okay, Hazel, good enough. Okay, this is a keeper now. Good. Your luck worked. Your ritual worked? Alright. Hazel is a really good early game character and we can just punch all the enemies to death. The only problem is, his essential materials are locked behind Chasm and Inazuma, so he'll most likely be stuck at level 20 for a while. So naturally, like every new account, we have to get through the prologue. First, we have to start out with Amber's domain, and here we encounter the problem. Since this domain wants us to utilize Amber's element, we have to try figuring this out without using Amber. To get through the thorns that block our path in the beginning of the domain, we could just sprint and jump to get a chest. However, if we miss the timing and jump, this happens. To complete the domain, we had to light up the Pyro Monument, but luckily for us, there were some Pyro torches laying around near us, so we could just burn ourselves and use Traveler's elemental skill to swirl Pyro and get through this domain by riding the wind currents after. Next, we went into Lisa's domain. Her domain doesn't really need any elements to clear, so we just cut through the domain by channeling our emo powers with the wind current and landing on a platform to skip 90% of the domain. The last tutorial domain was Kaya's, and his domain had some road bumps we might run into. The enemies themselves in the domain were easily defeated. We came across this big jump, and the game intends for us to use Kaya's elemental skill to freeze the water. Good thing for us, we could jump over the spikes, so we got through the domain successfully. So we gathered all the starter characters and immediately benched them. They'll be leveled up when I get excess EXP books, so we can get the standard face to wish for more Anemo characters on the standard banner. After that, we did the Kaya's treasure finding story quest. First, we met up with Kaya in the Favonius Knight headquarters and spoke to him. He told us to meet up with his informant. We had to rescue the informant first, and our Hazel cleaned house pretty quickly and got rid of the Helitrolls. Shortly afterwards, we had to find some treasure clues to discover the location of the final treasure. The first treasure hint was located on top of a windmill. I hate this. After we climbed back up, we found another hint that was located near Springvale. So on our way there, we got ambushed by a wild boar. First of all, we need to unlock a waypoint. Come on. If you didn't show yourself and ran me over, I wouldn't have killed you, boar. Needless to say, it got what it deserved. We also went ahead and tried to unlock a statue of a 7, but we ran into our arch enemy, the Eye of the Storm, or as I like to call it, the giant animal ball. Since we are using Anemo only characters, this fight gave us a lot of trouble since we can only deal physical damage as the Eye of the Storm have immunity to animal damage. Ow. If my Traveler dies, then I'm basically screwed as well because My Hazel can't do anything. I must say, as someone that usually defeats the animal ball pretty quickly, this fight was really annoying. And since I didn't know the mechanics for this fight, things went from bad to worse. I'm down. It's like oh no. I'm trapped. Ow! How do you not get hit? How do I not get hit? Is this like impossible to dodge? Well, hopefully Hazel will forget me for letting him die like that. Better kill it and not take any damage right now, or else I'm dead. With Traveler being my last standing character on my team, if I die, then I'll have to restart this fight all over again. And I'm not kidding. This was honestly one of the most intense fights I had on Genshin ever. Who knew that after 2 years of Genshin, the fight that I struggled the most against was a level 9 giant floaty ball. But here I am, standing face to face with it. If it does that tornado gel trapping skill again, I'm dead. Okay. It's gonna tackle me. I avoided that. Okay. I saw that coming, so I just ran away. I'm glad I did though. Please let me just kill it. No, it's getting. How is it standing up so early? Hello? Well, after 5 minutes of struggle, I finally defeated the Eye of the Storm, and I'm hoping I don't encounter another one of them anytime soon. Moving on, I ruined the date night with 2 Hilichurls. I'm not sure if it was because I took my anger out at them for struggling against the animal ball earlier, but yeah. On the way, that looked kind of funny. Oh. Okay. Sorry, Hilichurls. Next, we had to light up the cryo monuments with a cryo element. Luckily, there were some cryo slimes nearby, so I could just use them to swirl the monuments instead. 2. Okay, this is actually very easy. Slimes are just pawns for me to use to activate this. 3. Next, we went into the domain to find a treasure. My Hazel and Traveler combo did quick work of the enemies inside. But this very unfortunate thing happened, because I was stuck in a cutscene. No, I keep jumping into the fire. We reached the end where we were confronted by a treasure hoarder. The Ruin Guard boss was not too difficult, although the fight did take a while since we couldn't use Kaya. The Hilichurls that spawned later in the fight allowed us to swirl Pyro, so thank you Hilichurls. After completing the domain, we got a precious chest for our troubles. We also reached Adventure Rank 8, so we could start farming the ley lines for both Adventure Rank EXP and level up manuals as well. We also went to Amber's Quest, where we had to get ourselves a gliding license. The gliding part was pretty easy as they are all pretty straightforward. The part where we dropped bombs on Hilichurls technically didn't break our rules since we are still using Animal Traveler. Well, in this domain we encountered multiple problems. First, there was a Hilichurl that was camping up in a platform, and the game wants us to use a bow character to shoot a pyro barrel and knock the enemy down. But unfortunately for us, we can't use Amber, and we don't have an animal bow character, so I used my Traveler's Burst to push the Hilichurl down. Next, we encountered another problem where we needed Pyro to solve this electro puzzle to drain the water. But luckily for us, we can skip through this by plunging down and interacting with a mechanism. This takes us to our final road bump, where the 3 Hilichurl archers are just standing on top of the platforms where we couldn't reach. I tried finding a way up, but I kept on failing and failing and failing. I even restarted the domain with Traveler's Burst this time, but it still didn't work. After struggling for a while, I gave up for now and left the domain. Anyways, I farmed a little bit more Adventure EXP and managed to get to AR10, which allowed us to grab 10 fates from the mail, and we could do another tempo on the standard banner. I've done 10 at least, I think. Yup. Got Hazel pretty early on my 5th pull, so we'll see if we can get any animal characters. If not, then it's alright. Of course. Cool. Oh, we got a weapon as well. With Ziv? Okay. This one would be cool, good for Hazel, I guess. Well, we got Goro, and although he's best doggo, we wouldn't be able to use him on this account. Luckily for us, we also got the Widziv, so it's really a good weapon to have on Hazel for now. Starting out on a new account is always pretty fun and exciting, and there's no doubt that we will run into more problems as this series progresses because of our limited character roster. Since this account is different than my usual Road to 100k series, where I try to get as much Primo Gems as possible without spending, This account might give me a run for my money if 5-star animal characters get a rerun back to back. Our main target for 3.3 will be the 2 new animal characters. So we'll have to try and gather as many Primo Gems as possible before 3.2 ends, and spend all of our Primo Gems on the next banner. Of course, with our standard banner wishes, we'll still have a chance to get Sayu, Sucrose, or even Jean, so we'll continue to wish on those as well. So yeah, let me know what you think of this series. Do you think it's possible to complete the Spiral Abyss with only animal characters? Or even complete all of the Archon quests on this account? If you want to follow along with this series, make sure to subscribe and let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.